mentioned, I do a lot of things. I'm not going to talk about every icon on this slide. Just going to speak to two of them. Mercatus is in fact my day job. I commonly quip it's a Shopify for grocers. I'm also hiring, so you can type program. If you want a double date Matt, please come see me. Now if you're looking to scale your company culture, me and my co-founders who's in the audience, we developed a technology and company called Fortay, which allows you to instrument, scale, and evolve your company culture. And perhaps not surprisingly, the topic is about culture. Culture has always been near and dear to me. I've been lucky enough, as mentioned, to be associated with a number of successful firms. And when I drill down into it, people have always been the secret to my success. I personally hired probably about 1,000 people, that is, I've hired and worked with 1,000 people. And what I really saw, there were two key things that were associated with on-the-job success. One thing was cognitive skills, the ability to learn, adapt, and evolve, which I could quickly litmus test within 2 to 3 hours. The other thing was this ephemeral thing called culture fit. Basically, the ability to work well with an existing team. Okay, so culture is unquestionably important, and it's just not my opinion, it's literally the unanimous opinion of every material business leader on the planet. Well over 80% or 90% believe that culture is very important. It's far more predictive than any other measure in terms of employee engagements. It's actually literally 5 times more important than salary benefits to determine or predict employee engagement. And it's not just a Canadian issue or a North American issue. This is a heat map for cultural importance across the planet. But here's the reality. We kind of suck at it. And the data gets worse. I wish it was that good. So I'm going to skip through this very quickly, but Gallup has been doing engagement surveys for about 2 decades, and the number has not changed. 7 out of 10 people wake up every morning, realize that they hate or don't care about their job. And it gets worse from there. Just to rattle off some other stats, half the people fail within 18 months, 90% due to failure of culture fit. Over half of employees will not even recommend their company. 51% of employees are actively searching at this point in time. Half of you are all looking for another job, which is another reason for you to approach me. Okay. When we add up the math, this amounts to literally $1 trillion problem. This is an American number, so $1 trillion is Canadian. For North America alone, it's a massive problem. But unfortunately, I think although we think that culture is important, a lot of the issues around maintaining company culture are due to the fact that we kind of focus around the wrong things. One of the things that commonly come up are perks and benefits. Like just looking at this place, this is the exemplar example, it's beautiful. It probably has everything listed on the sheet. Shopify is world renowned for having great benefits, games, free food, probably awesome vacation, awesome financial incentives. Here's a problem. There's never been any demonstrated correlation between perks and benefits and either culture or engagement. Absolutely none. The only time perks and benefits comes up as influencing anything is when a new hire is choosing between 2 different companies. One quick example is if one employer is offering $70K and unlimited vacation, that may be contrasted versus a company that's paying $80K and 3 weeks of vacation. Other than that, absolutely no impact on culture or engagement. Values. Values has been a best practice for decades, and I'm sure we've all seen them. It's typically derived by the executive team, typically in consultation with incoming auditor, incoming consultants. This is kind of a word population density of the most common values. I don't think that there's a big surprise, but there's a big issue with corporate values. I'm gonna pick 4, which are really, really cool. Communication, respect, integrity, excellence. I would want to work for that company with one big problem. That's Enron, which effectively became the prototype for E-Core, for you Mr. Robot fans. So basically the complete epitome of evil E-Core, or evil core. So the issue here is culture is more than just intent. You actually have to walk the talk. And the other thing about culture, it's more than a sum of the parts. It's more than a great mission, more than a great vision, more than a purpose. If you think about what creates a great novel, a novel is more than sentences, paragraphs. It's more than a combination of the parts. And you may have heard this little startup called Google. They went on this massive quest to determine what formed an effective team. So if you want to do research independently, just look up Project Aristotle. And it kind of drove them nuts because they couldn't see a correlation between typically what we typically look for, which is the who part of the equation. So there was literally no correlation between effective teams and the intelligence of a member, the skill set of a member, the tenure of a member, and most interestingly, the personality of a member. And interesting enough, it was also independent of team behavior. There were hard-driving teams, casual teams, academic teams, no correlation with the group behavior as a whole. The only thing that they found was, and this is the key part, was effective teams had agreed on a common set of norms or group behaviors. And when you think about what corporate values are supposed to be in terms of walking the talk, it's the actual manifestation of values that really count. So what is, how do you affect cultures? I'm gonna go through this really quickly in the interest of time. If I look at this slide, or this picture, and I look at what is interesting about this picture in terms of its culture, and the answer is pretty much everything. So my concept around cultural bandwidth is every decision in a company, every person you hire, every process you implement affects the culture in some way. That means you have to apply conscious energy on it. And the most important part is, of course, the people's part of the equation. So if you're just spending 10 or 15 minutes forming a gut call, I can guarantee you're not doing cultural correlation. If you are not using Fortay and you want to do this properly, I recommend spending people hours and not person days to determine true culture fit. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to call up this quick article. This is from my article called Judgment Day in The Economist. The Y side is a probability of an inmate being released on parole. The X portion is the time in the day. So if you're an inmate, if you're up first before a panel of judges, because it wasn't just a single judge, it was a panel of 3 judges, there was, or if you saw the judge after a meal break, there was literally a 70 to 80% chance of being let off. If you're seeing a judge right before a meal break or at the end of the day, that drops down to 10 to 0%. So the key lesson is, if you ever see yourself in an orange jumpsuit facing a team of angry old men, please bring a box of Timbits. Okay, so this is the concluding part. I'm going to tell you how to pick stocks. So Glassdoor did a study in 2015, and basically, I won't get into the variance of the lines, but basically, if you just double down on the top 36 best companies to work for, you would have outperformed the index by 57%, which is kind of cool. I don't know who your money man is, whether it's both simple or you got a guy or a girl that manage your portfolio, but just picking great culturally correlated companies has an amazing effect on the return. So you're probably thinking this is a one-time thing. Well, guess what? The study was repeated, and they did actually a bit better. So the yellow line is S&P 500. This was just released in HBR earlier in the year. Blue is NASDAQ. Fortune Best Companies is green. The red is Glassdoor Best Places to Work, which was about 53% better than the S&P index. But the most interesting thing was the best of the best. So in this study, they picked the top 6% of the top 250 companies to work at across various studies. And that had a result 79% better than the S&P index, which is pretty good. So I'll stop there. And before we begin with questions, I want to have a disclaimer. Please do not take financial advice from a CTO. Questions?
As far as like company hierarchy goes, how does that influence the companies, the best companies work for?
It's less about hierarchy and organizational structure as opposed to behaviors amongst individual people. The issue is hierarchies can impose behaviors, so you have to be careful around that. In my own teams that I personally lead, I try and make things as flat as possible. I even don't have my own office because I believe symbols of power also tend to have a dilutive effect on culture. But that's just me. Again, there's no such thing as a wrong culture. The culture is literally the thing that you want to create in terms of the behaviors in your company. If you want to have a cubicle farm, there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to make a conscious decision around that. I think there was a.
When it comes to corporate culture, you said it's very important that we have a group that picks its own values for it to succeed, doesn't have a general consensus on it. What do you do when the corporate values are against what the group picks? It could harm the corporation itself because the group came together to a consensus.
Well, that's a kind of $64,000 question. I guess there's no easy way around that. I guess what you have to do is you have to convince the executive team, sometimes you have to convince HR. Like this is sort of the conflict that's happening in Uber, where there's obviously a toxic, dissonant culture, which is being spearheaded by the very top. And there are pockets of people within the organization that have brought this to the attention of HR and have been shut down. There's no easy way around that. Sometimes, and as in case of very unfortunately female employees in Uber, they had to leave because of the toxic nature of the culture. But sometimes you do have to walk with your feet. If there's no way you can make a change and you have to wake up and face this thing that you can't believe in, you have to walk.
What's your opinion on culture being emergent versus being architected?
There's no easy answer to that. To me, it's more consciousness. You have to be consciously aware of the culture that you want. In the early days, when you think about an early stage startup, you spend a lot of time dating, as you will, your co-founder, or at least I recommend it, because you want to make sure that you have a correlation around values and beliefs. In fact, in another seminar or talk, what I said was the definition of an asshole literally is a person with a dissonant set of beliefs and self-interest. Just think about it. Like when you think of every person that you've hated, chances are it was one of those two factors: a dissonant belief value system, or dissonant objectives that cause this tension. So the only thing I can say is, if you have a group of people, especially a small group of people, you want to be very consciously focused on the value and belief system that you're going to be heading into.
We'll do one last one here.
So, right after the disaster like United happens, and say CEO hires a chief culture officer, and it's you, what would you change in United?
I'd start using Fortay. but part of when something is not systemic, you have to literally go to ground steps. You have to realize, and it's not literally picking the alleged values, it's picking who are the people that truly manifest the values that you want to see going forward. And those have to be the implicit, informal leaders that carry the message within the organization. It's not easy. The thing about culture that people forget, it's just not a one-time thing. It's an iterative process. You try something, you learn from it, then you try again. If you're not focusing a conscious amount of energy on culture, it's going to erode and basically start turning into the United or even an Uber-like scenario.
Perfect. Bohdan, thank you very much.